And we like to welcome every one of you to the ETBU Sportsnet presented by our sponsors at Marshall Hometown Tire. I'm Kenneth the K-Rock Klein, coming to you from my usual spot here since I can't necessarily be back on campus just yet, but due to the quarantine. But anyways, folks, glad to be here once again, and we got a special treat for you guys as well. Pleased to be joined by one of ETBU's finest athletes, and certainly one of my favorite athletes to talk about as well. Are talking a guy who was an all-conference first-teamer, ASC Player of the Year, an MVP, All-American, and recently the third player in ETBU baseball history to be drafted into Major League Baseball's or the baseball team. So, ladies and gentlemen, my honor and privilege to be talking with former ETBU baseball player Casey Combs. Casey, good to be here from you, man. So, just kind of give us an update as to where exactly you are as we speak.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, Carol. It's good to be on with you. Good to hear your voice again. I've missed it a lot, and I missed this last season at ETBU. And I was watching as many games as I could with the guys, and I know they were giving all they had. But currently, I'm just hanging out, trying to do the best I can to stay healthy and stay ready to go for whenever they call us back. I'm at home right now here in South Lake in Texas, just working out. I hit with my dad most days up at the cages. Pretty much just do everything I can to stay in shape and stay ready to go. They told us they'll try to give us a couple weeks, maybe a month or so, whenever they'll have us back. But you know what it's looking right now, and it's not looking good. So everything's up in the air. So me, and as well as I'm sure a lot of other guys in my situation, are just doing everything they can to stay ready to go and just keep the weight on that they put on in the off season and just be ready to go whenever they call us back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm just hearing about all the stuff going on in Major League Baseball. I mean, you're talking a situation where they might be playing games in Arizona. There's talk that they might have some games down in Florida, which is where you would probably be since you're part of the Marlins organization, even Texas as well. I just keep thinking, man, if you had to play games in Arizona, you might be playing at second base right next to a rattlesnake pit or so, to say the least, to tell you the truth. But Casey, being your second year here, just kind of talk about the situation, like you're getting ready to start another year with the Marlins organization, and then all of a sudden you find out that the season's been canceled. What was that thought process like, especially when you first found out about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, mentally, it's huge. You go into it, and they actually, I wasn't supposed to report until March 5th, and they called me a couple weeks early, and they said, hey, we need you to report for pitcher-catcher. We need some more catchers. I said, all right, that's awesome. I'll be there. So I reported it. I ended up reporting about 2 weeks early, around February 20th. And so I ended up, I was grateful I was able to be there for a couple of weeks before all this happened, so I did get some time. But, when you go there, you're expecting to be gone from home for 7 to 8 months for all of spring training, possibly extended spring training, and then your season if you get signed to a full season team. So mentally, you're thinking, all right, I'm going to be out of Texas. I'm going to be gone for this next 7 to 8 months. So it's just tough when you're down there for 3 weeks. They say, hey, we got to send you right back home. It kind of messes with your mind a little bit, with your mentality. So it's been tough, I'll be honest, to kind of stay motivated and to continue moving forward, because all that work you put in the off season, you don't want it to go to waste. So right now I'm just kind of, like I said, just doing everything I can to stay ready. And it's disappointing that this was going to be my first full season and this is happening, but a lot of people are in the same situation as me, and you got to learn how to overcome adversity and just go with what life throws at you. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just doing the best that I can with what I've got.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can't imagine, because obviously, we would probably be almost a full month into the season, to say the least. But anyways, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just said we're getting deprived of baseball, man. We need it. It's too bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just still wondering when the season's going to get started, because there are obviously teams that have a lot to prove. But anyway, Case, so taking you back to after, first of all, let's just go back to that specific day when I believe you were helping around your dad and your family around the community service. And then, you got that phone call that you finally got drafted by the Miami Marlins, and obviously just kind of go through the emotions of that day in particular. Did you have a feeling that you were going to be picked, or was it just kind of one of those out of nowhere kind of surprises that you got?
I had an idea. I was still in my mind. I didn't want to tell myself I was, because I didn't want to be really let down and disappointed. Connor says he never was, but he was in a very similar situation I was. And I know it was a little disappointing. I mean, it's every baseball player's dream. So, yeah, my family, we were down in the country of Belize, serving a lot of kids down there. We were trying to bring baseball over to that country. So the last couple of summers, we've gone over there and done some mission work and done a lot of baseball camps. And so we had just wrapped up a camp with a couple hundred little kids. It was a great camp, great day. we were actually out over at lunch with a couple other natives there. They took us out to a local spot. And my dad asked me if I had my phone on, if I was paying attention to it. And I said, oh, not really. You know, I'm not really paying too much attention to it. And we sit down for lunch, and probably 20 minutes into lunch, my dad gets a call from Coach Hood. And Coach Hood goes, "Where is Casey?" And, you know, trying to figure out where I am. And he's got the Marlin scout calling Coach, letting him know that he's trying to draft me but can't get a hold of me. And so, hey, he said, "Hey, I'm going to tell the scout to call you," and give the phone to Casey. So not but a few minutes later, the Marlin scout called my dad. He handed the phone to me, and yeah, that was a pretty surreal experience. That was not something I was expecting. Definitely not that day. Definitely not in another country. But it was awesome to be surrounded by my dad and by my brother, and I had a couple other relatives there. I had some cousins there with me doing some work down there in Belize. So I was surrounded by loved ones, and it was an unbelievable experience. Something that, yeah, I still think about to this day, and I'll never forget it. It was awesome.
And your dad, of course, was a former major league pitcher, played with the Phillies in the early 90s as well. So from someone who obviously has had some experience, did he give you any sort of advice as far as, you know, kind of what to expect, obviously, now that you're in the big leagues, to say the least, even though you have yet to make the active roster?
Yeah. I mean, he's giving me advice every day, different things, different aspects of it. You know, when I'm not during the season last year, when I was struggling a little bit, he would give me words of encouragement and just tell me to keep my head up, just make the most of every opportunity I get. On the during this last off season, he was on my butt. He said, "Look, you gotta change. You gotta get bigger. You gotta get stronger. If you want to make it, you gotta show it." And so gave me some extra motivation to go out and put some weight on. And I put on about 15 to 16 pounds this off season. Finally bulked up for probably the first time in my life. Really took the weight room seriously, and it's just a lot of what my dad has fed into me and told me is, if you want to make it, you have to work hard. This is not something that just anybody can do. And the fact that I'm here now, I didn't think I was even going to play college baseball, let alone pro baseball. So the fact that I'm here and getting this opportunity, I'm absolutely going to give it everything I have, and, you know, play as long as I can. I think that's every kid's dream, and I'm blessed to have the opportunity. And I really want to do this for all the D3 baseball players out there. And we don't get a lot of opportunities. And I think I was honestly a little lucky to get one. So I want to do this for those guys that kind of get left behind and just are, you know, really talented, but afterthoughts in a lot of this draft process. So.
Yeah, certainly. You come from, so let's talk about how you were able to get to ETBU in the first place. Obviously, of course, you know, what was it that drew you to that campus down in Marshall? I know one of the things was get to be playing with your older brother Connor, but what were some of the other things that kind of just drew you to that specific campus that made you want to say, man, I want to play for ETBU. I want to see if I can, you know, make the most out of the opportunity.
Yeah, so it's actually a funny story, and I'll be completely open and honest with you. I think I went to one of Connor's games when he was probably a sophomore, his year before I came, and I told my parents, I was like, "There's no way I could ever go to school here," and that was just simply just looking at the school, just from the outside in, looking at a baseball game. I had no idea what ETB was all about, and so fast forward, I finished my senior year of baseball, ended up playing a lot better than I thought I was going to, but my shoulder bothered me a ton. Couldn't really throw a baseball too well. It just really took away a lot of my passion. So that fall, I decided to stay home. I went to community college, and this was going to be Connor's junior season that he was going into. So he was there for all the fall ball. I mean, he's always calling me and telling me how much fun college baseball is, and he's telling me how much he enjoys just being surrounded by a community of players and teammates. So, you know, it was always in the back of my mind that I still knew I had some time left to play. I still knew I was good enough. But I knew I wasn't, you know, Division I, Division II, a high level JUCO level. I did actually go to a tryout at McLennan Junior College, and that didn't go too well. So I knew I just wanted to keep playing at some aspects. And so actually kind of fast forward through that fall semester, I did get into a little bit of trouble at home, you know, living at home for 6 months when you're in college or whatever. And, you know, it kind of gets on your parents' nerves a little bit. So a lot of stuff happened personally, but Connor ended up giving me a call probably about a week after he went back to school for the spring semester, and told me that one of their catchers had gone down with a UCL tear over Christmas break. He said, "Look, if there's any ounce of you that wants to still play ball, you have a great opportunity here. We have a great coach. All you got to do is say the word, and I'll talk to Coach Hood." So Connor, not 24 hours later, went to Coach Hood's office and sent me a text and said, "We're good to go. Get him here." So I showed up to ETBU a week late, was still very intimidated, very scared about the whole process, the whole transition. Decided to live with Connor my freshman year, that spring semester, which was probably the best decision I could have made he helped just kind of show me the ropes of living out on my own and kind of adjusting to, being away from your parents, being at a real college. So Connor honestly played a huge, huge role in getting me to ETBU. And obviously it was very enticing to play with your brother. I mean, to this day, we've created memories together that we'll absolutely never forget. And you've been on the announcing end-offs on some of those. So we've made some incredible memories together. But yeah, getting me there was a crazy story, and it has kind of just taken off from there. But my coming to ETBU has probably been the best decision of my life. And crazy story on how I got there, but I'm super blessed. It was definitely God's hand putting me there. He put me where I wanted to be, where I needed to be. And there's no other way that could have happened without his hand on it.
Yeah, certainly. I can think back to one particular game in particular. I believe y'all were playing Laterno, and Connor had 2 homers in the game. And it seemed like every time he came up to bat, he hit a home run. I kept thinking, man, this would be great if Casey would hit a home run, because it'd be like Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr. going back to say the least, but you didn't get that opportunity. Later in the game, however, bases loaded, you come up and you tattoo that thing to left field over the fence, and I just went ballistic on the announcing. And then as you rounded home plate, there seemed to be some brotherly love there between the two of you guys as well. So,
yeah, Connor liked to pick me up a lot. He was proud of his little brother.
Yeah, certainly. But, obviously, Connor was, of course, a big factor for you in helping you transition to being an ETBU, not only as an athlete, but also as a student, to say the least, to get you more comfortable in the role. But you also understand that, he had also made a big impact at the school with all that he achieved, accolades-wise. I mean, we can look back at the All-American stuff, the Player of the Year honors as well. So, and of course, now that he's the all-time hits leader at ETBU. So I feel like with most athletes in that situation, there tends to be some type of pressure. I think you think about the Manning brothers with Peyton and Eli, to say the least as well. Knowing you, I think that even though you were just kind of trying to find yourself at ETBU, you never really sort of felt that pressure of trying to be more yourself than trying to play under someone's schedule. Was that kind of easier having to play with him, or just dealing with that?
I will tell you, Coach Hood did a very good job of handling that. I did struggle at first with playing with my brother. He's not, the first inter squad I show up to, the dude hit a home run on the first pitch you saw about 400 feet to left field. And I'm sitting here as a freshman watching this. I'm like, all right, golly, I got to live up to this. And now my brother's he's number 16. He's the captain. I'm just the little brother who just showed up. So yeah, at first it was a bit of a struggle to kind of not live up to Connor's expectations, because this was a freshman. I didn't even have expectations for myself yet. But it was really transitioning into my sophomore season. We had that really, really good year in 2016 when I came there with Bates and Dynas and all them. We had that really good year. And then my sophomore year, I was gonna have a little bit more of an impact on the team. But Coach Hood pulled me aside and he said, look, I want you to be your own player. I don't want you to compare yourself to Connor. You are a completely different player. Y'all play the game in different ways, and y'all both bring different aspects to the game. And so that was huge to hear that from him, to give me the confidence to, look, I can play this game the way I play it. And Connor and I played the game very different ways. I was very vocal, very outgoing. Even though Connor was number 16, he never really would kind of get after guys like that. He would definitely get us together and lead the right way. But we would play the game just a little bit different way. So Coach Hood kind of gave me the freedom and just the confidence to go out there and play the game the way I've done it my whole life, which is just with a super competitive edge and just playing as hard as I can. And that gave me some confidence, and kind of took that through the rest of my career. And when Connor left, it kind of just helped me just play the way I always had and continue to play well and thankfully break out my senior year. Yeah,
definitely. So, of course, you come in and you are definitely part of a great core of guys. I mean, your brother, Zach Compton, Tyler Bates, Dynas Dow, Cam Summerall, just to name a few guys as well. But I go back to the 2016 ASC Red Bracket Championship game, where you had a chance to win that game and unfortunately just didn't quite come in. It seemed like, in 2017, y'all were really on a mission to kind of redeem yourself. But not only y'all as a team, but you yourself personally, because that was really the tournament I felt like you had your breakout series. Now, we can look back at that tournament and think, okay, that was when Zach Gardner, walk-off walk, Jackson Rader, RBI single to win the game, Zach Compton, the big grand slam homer to put the punch. That doesn't happen without your game-tying RBI in the top of the 9th inning, to say the least. But overall, the tournament as well, you really stepped up well. It's so deserving that you were named the Red Bracket Tournament MVP. And that season, that specific year, obviously, because it was like you said, your brother's last year along with the core group of guys, and you, of course, were now kind of the front guy in the transitional period. When you think back to the 2017 season as a whole for that team, what sort of memory stands out to you from that year?
Oh man, the whole Red Bracket Championship, and not just because I played well and got the MVP. I've said it 100 times. Those 3 games that we played, that was some of the most intense, just exhilarating games. We came from behind in every game. I think our guys just never gave up on each other. We always knew we had a chance to win no matter what, and our team was just so close. Both 2016 and 2017, but really in 2017 with that core group of seniors with Connor and Compton and Warbington and Summerall and Dukes and really all those guys. They just, none of us younger guys wanted to lose because we didn't want to stop playing with them. That's some of the most fun that some of us have ever had, and we just didn't want to stop playing. So I know a lot of that impacted us. We wanted to play as long as we could and just keep playing as hard as we could, so those guys, could keep playing their dream, keep living out their dream, and playing as long as they could.
Yeah, definitely. And then, of course, you found yourself once Connor obviously graduated, of course, all of that core group. You then became sort of the leader of the team, to say the least, as well. How do you think, after playing the first couple of years with the core group of guys, that it helped you sort of become the go-to guy, the heart and soul, the leader of the team, to where you not only led with your words, but also you led with your actions, at least for your final 2 seasons?
Mm-hmm. I will say the leadership role my junior and senior year was a little bit tough, especially our junior year. We kind of had a tough balance leadership because we had a lot of older guys that were kind of transitioning. We had a lot of leadership, and nobody wanted to kind of clash with each other. So junior year was honestly a little bit of a struggle with that. Sumter was number 16, and we all respected that, and we wanted him to be our leader. But sometimes, some other guys needed to step up in some ways. So I think we finally all got together at one point. And we're like, look, it was me, Gardner, Seth, Chad, Sumter, Barnes, just those core group of guys. And, we know we didn't have the one Connor. We didn't have that one guy who was going to be the spiritual leader, the vocal leader, the best player on the team, just everything all in one. And we didn't really have that. We had a core group of seniors that were going to come together and all lead that team together. And I think our senior year, we were finally able to accomplish that. Junior year, I think we struggled a little bit with that, but senior year, it just seemed to click. And obviously we performed better senior year, but I think that had a lot to do with a lot of guys stepping into their roles in the right way. And I think we just all led together. So I wouldn't say it was me leading the team junior, senior year. I mean, everybody looked up to Zach Gardner. Everybody wanted to be like him. Seth would just go about his business and just go hit bombs and do his thing. Sumter was our guy we could always look to if we needed anything, and he balled out his senior year. Barnes did his thing. Chad was doing his thing from freshman to senior year. So I think it was a culmination of a lot of those leaders stepping up our senior year, not just me in any way. I think we came together just really, really well as a team. Just had a good culture behind us that Coach Hood set in place, and we just all loved playing with each other, and it was just a good core group of guys, and we just enjoyed it and all led the team together and led a lot of those younger guys.
Definitely. And, if you can look back to a specific game or a moment in your career where you felt like, this is definitely why I came to ETBU. This was why I wanted to be who I was. I know I doubted myself when I first got here, but then this was the moment where I felt like I belonged at ETBU. Was there?
Yeah, so for after my freshman year, I honestly was still considering transferring. I had a girlfriend at the time that went to Oklahoma University, and my best friend went to OU. I had my transfer papers, everything, and I just prayed about it a ton. And I was like, man, I can't deprive myself of playing another year of college baseball with my brother. Like, that was so much fun. So, we went through the whole sophomore year. I can't think of anything specific my sophomore year. I think it was the whole year, and then finishing the season really well my sophomore year, being the MVP in that Red Bracket Championship, and kind of as Connor was heading out, I felt myself stepping into my own. So I think that was kind of the point where I realized, okay, this was the right decision. This could be my team one day. I could actually do something in college baseball and not just, I just never thought anything like that was ever going to be possible. But I will say my freshman year, though, after I hit my first home run, I was rounding the bases. And Connor, he was the one who was on second base. I will say when I hit home at that point, that was probably the most surreal baseball experience of my life, just being there and just realizing that I could compete and I could do this. And then I did make the decision to do it when I really had no expectations of ever playing college baseball. So hitting my first home run and having Connor right there was probably the moment where I thought, man, I could, this is fun. I really want to keep playing baseball.
Shifting gears a little bit here, obviously, to from being an athlete to just being a student as well. The challenges, obviously, of being both a student and athlete are obviously there. You travel to games, but you also have to keep up with your studies. Was that sort of any kind of pressure on you to, be that way as well at times?
Um, Not too much. I was just as competitive in my schoolwork as I was in athletics. I wanted to get an A in every class, so I did everything I could. I studied hard. I did. I shot for A's every time that I went into a class, and I really wouldn't expect anything below that. So that's just kind of the attitude I took into classwork. And if I got anything below an A, it would kind of upset me. And so that's what I strive for. And I really don't. I never put any pressure on myself because I knew that if I just worked hard and tried hard, just like I did in baseball, that the grades would come as well. And Connor, again, set the bar super high with that as well. He, I think, finished with a 4.0 in both undergrad and grad school. And he set the bar for what it means to be an academic student, or you know what I mean? An academic athlete, and yeah. So, God, I couldn't think of the word. But anyways, yeah, so he kind of set the bar for what it means to be that. And so, I didn't want to just be just a baseball player. So I took my studies seriously and knew that baseball wasn't going to last forever, and I wanted to do well in school, and I think I accomplished that. I had a couple of academic achievements that came my way at the end of the year, and that was cool to see. But I definitely tried to work as hard as I did in the classroom as I did on the field.
Right. And so now, was there any sort of a person on campus? It could be a friend, it could be your coaching staff, teammates, or just anybody. Was there anybody in particular that you can look back on and say that had the biggest influence on you during your time throughout ETBU?
You said can you say that again? Like teacher or?
Yeah, like it could be a professor, friend, coaching staff, teammate. Like it could be anybody. Like anybody
Okay.
that you believe
Yeah,
had the
yeah.
biggest.
I could definitely give you a professor for one. A professor named Dr. Hamby. I don't know if you remember him. He was our accounting professor, and he probably, God, the majority of my classes when I went there. And anybody who ever watches this who had Dr. Hamby will know it's their favorite teacher they've ever had. He kept class entertaining. He made me enjoy accounting, which who could do that? So he had a huge impact on me. He encouraged me so much. I think he came to a couple of our baseball games, and he lived like an hour away in Bossier. He was just super supportive of our dreams and of our goals, and he wanted us, to continue to excel. And he just worked so hard for his students and had a huge impact on me, and especially my academics. He made me want to work hard. If you got to be in his class, he'd get on to you. So he made me work hard. And then I think the easy answer is Coach Hood. That man has had such an influence in my life. He has just helped me grow so much, and both my leadership and my on the field ability. And he's always given me the freedom to be the player that I am, and that was always huge for me. And I think that helped me just grow into my own so much. And he got on to me a little bit because I'm super competitive with myself, and I would get frustrated myself. And he just really knew how to coach me well and keep me level-headed. So I owe a lot of my success to Coach Hood and just everything he's done for me, and really my whole family. Just all the ETBU baseball program has meant so much to just our whole family. So, and Coach Hood's been right in the center of all of that.
Absolutely. And I'll say one thing about Dr. Hamby as well. So the professors, the teachers that teach classes that deal with numbers and all that, I feel like they have a sort of way of entertaining people, because obviously I can't imagine putting myself as a professor in that class as well. So another case of shifting gears a bit, we talked about your older brother, Connor, but you also had another older brother, Carson, who for some reason decided to take his own path. I mean, I don't know if he just decided not to play baseball and all, but he was a big fixture of the ETBU hockey team as well. Just kind of watching him, do his thing with the ETBU hockey team as well. What was that like, just having all three Combs brothers at the same school as athletes at the same time?
Yeah, it was really cool. Honestly, at first when I heard Carson was going to come to ETBU and do his whole master's degree and start the hockey team, I was like, dang, I'm going to have three brothers here. I just can't get out of my house. Like, I'm going to see my brothers again all the time. But honestly, our brother, like me, Carson, and Connor, were all so close. It just, all it did was make our relationships even better. And what Carson did with that hockey program is really unbelievable. To go from not having a team to being one of the best in the region and competing for a regional tournament, and their fourth year. I think they lost like 3 games this year, maybe 4. That's unbelievable. And that's just so much of a credit to what Carson's ability is and how hard he worked to put that team together, put the right people in place. And President Blackburn, of course, as well, and Ryan Irwin, all of them doing just such hard work and putting that team together. But Carson, I really can't say enough good things about him. I don't know how you can start a program and year 4 be competing in one of the best teams in the conference, let alone your region. So that was awesome to see. I kept up with the hockey team a bunch this year. Carson and I were actually trying to go to some hockey games, but I think that some of them got moved around. I'm not exactly sure, but when they traveled to Dallas. But I was keeping up with them the whole year. It was really awesome to see Skyler and some of those other guys that have been there for the first, since the first year, continue to move on and just get better. So that was just really cool to see some of those guys.
Certainly. And obviously, what your whole career from coming to ETBU, unsure about yourself, to leaving ETBU as a guy that really stepped up to be a leader on and off the field as well. How has that affected your spiritual guidance throughout your time at ETBU?
Oh, it's been huge. I mean, like I said, I went through a lot of personal stuff before I came to ETBU, and spiritual guidance is something that I needed. And that was another reason that I chose to live with Connor, because everyone knows Connor, where he is in his faith, and he's just someone you can look up to and always go to with questions and stuff. So Connor, when I first got to school, he got me going to what we called the Davis Girls Bible Study. Carlton Davis used to own Davis Grill down in Marshall, so we would go there on Wednesday nights, and that was kind of the start of me getting back into my faith and really trying to make an effort to get a better relationship with Christ. And then obviously, we're filled with it. We have chapels Monday, Wednesdays. We have FCAs Monday nights, Bible studies Wednesday nights, church on Sunday. And some people say, that is too much. And not everyone's going to go to all of those things. But, you have all the opportunity that you need to grow your relationship with Christ if that's what you want. And living with Connor helped a lot because he encouraged me to do just that. And, everywhere you go around ETBU, the campus is just filled with godly people, and there's anybody you can talk to, especially the professors and really everyone that I talked to. If I had a question, they had a good answer for me. And just really my whole life at ETBU and the 4 years I spent there just changed my life completely spiritually, and really just turned my life back around and gave my life back to Christ and really just started living for him. And I don't think any of that would have happened if God didn't bring me to ETBU. So that's why I say there's a reason all this happened. There's a reason he placed me there. And I think there's a reason I got to play a couple years with Connor and kind of live with him and just see what this grown-up life is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Casey, always great to talk to you and all that. Hey, make sure you just stay safe, keep up the social distancing thing and all that. I know this is kind of a tough time for everybody, especially for you, because I know you want to get out there and play, and I want to keep track of your career throughout the minor leagues and maybe one day see you playing for Miami. So,
I hope so.
Yeah. Hey, thanks a lot for joining in, and thank you guys for watching this interview with Casey. We'll have more on the ETBU Sportsnet. Stay tuned.
Appreciate it, K-Rock.